Hello everyone, I am Punyakeerthi BL. Welcome to my Python for Generative AI learning series. In this series, we are focusing on Python basics that will help us to building a strong foundation for implementing generative AI concepts. So let's dive in and start today's session. Before starting today's session, if you feel this video is good, please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Also feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. So let's start with today's topic, functions arguments in Python. So let's start with introduction. Functions are one of the most important building blocks in Python. They help you to organize code into reusable pieces that can take input, perform a task, and give back a result. In this lesson, we will explore how functions receive input through arguments. Understanding how to pass data into functions gives you more control and flexibility while writing programs. So Python supports several types of function arguments, but in this session we will focus on first two, positional arguments and keyword arguments. By the end of this lesson, you will know how to use both types effectively and understand difference between parameters and arguments. So let's start with what are function arguments. When we define a function, we can specify parameters inside parentheses. These parameters act as placeholders for the values that the function will receive when it's called. When we call the function, the actual values we send are called arguments. In short, parameters are variables inside the function definition. Arguments are actual values passed during the function call. So let's understand with example. So here I'm taking an example. So definition, we are name as greet with parameter name. Name is a parameter and we are calling greet function using alias. Alias is a argument. So hello alias. So here name is an parameter and alias actual value which we are using, that is an argument. So let's go with next topic, positional arguments. Positional arguments are the most common and basic type of function arguments. In this method, the order in which you pass the argument matters. So let's know how it works. Each value you pass is assigned to the parameter in the same order as they appear in the function definition. Let's see an example. Here I have an example called function display weather. So how it looks, let's try. So this the display weather is a function name which has temper and humidity. Temp is for temperature, humidity for humidity. So now how it works, let's see. Here temp and humidity are parameters. When we call, we are passing these values. So in positional parameter, when you are passing, so 25 is mapped to temp and 60 mapped to humidity. When we run, so temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, humidity is 60%. So by these positional parameters we can understand. But if we switch the order, so what happens? If it is order, it is there, no issues. If I switch the order, what happens? Let's see what happens. We are taking the code and the 2560 we passed it as 60 and 25 order we are changing. Now output will be changed for temperature becomes to 60 degree and humidity becomes 25%. So you will get this makes output incorrect because the function assumes the first value is the temperature and second is humidity. So why order matters? Since Python assigns arguments by position, any mistake in order can lead to wrong results. That's why positional arguments are best used when the order is simple and clear. Okay, so next we can go for keyword arguments. Keyword arguments, also called named arguments, allow you to specify which parameter each argument corresponds to. Here the order does not matter because you explicitly name each argument. For example, let's extend our weather function to include one more parameter, wind speed. So take the same thing, and what I'm doing, I'm taking the code. So I will compile this. Now let's call this. Now we can call the function like this. This is arguments, keyword argument we can use and we can work on. So display weather, humidity is equal to 70 we are giving. So here the temp, humidity, wind speed, this is the order of the arguments we specified inside the function definition. But when we are using the arguments here, I am specifying humidity is equal to 70, temperature is equal to 22, and wind speed is equal to 15. So here the keyword arguments are not based on the order you send, the value you are sending, it will work. Okay, now you are able to see. So Python will correctly match each argument to its corresponding parameter no matter the order is. So why we need to use keyword arguments? They make your code more readable. They reduce errors caused by wrong ordering. They are especially useful when your function has many parameters. Okay, let's understand mixing positional and keyword arguments. Python also allows you to use both positional and keyword arguments in a single function call, but there's an important rule to remember. Positional arguments must always come before keyword arguments. So how to do that? So I am doing like this. Now we are calling the display weather with the 22, wind speed is equal to 15, humidity is equal to 70. So we are getting 22 degree and 70%, and we are adding. Okay, this will works fine. But when we are trying the order, we are using positional argument in first order before keyword argument. That's why it worked. But here we are mixing, and now you are able to see syntax error, positional argument, and it comes in between before keyword arguments. That's why it's throwing exception. So because here positional argument appears after a keyword argument, that's why we are getting error. The rule is simple: positional arguments first, keyword arguments later. So next we can understand common pitfalls and tips. Always double check the order of arguments when using positional ones. Use keyword arguments for clarity when a function has many inputs. Remember the difference between parameters in definition and arguments in call. Let's wrap up. Also, if you want, we can recap. In this lesson, we learned what parameters and arguments are, how positional arguments work and why their order matters, how keyword arguments make your function calls clearer and more flexible, the rule that positional arguments must come before keyword arguments when both are used together. Okay, thank you for watching today's session. This is part of my Python for Generative AI learning series. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to my channel for more videos. Also, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. The link is in description. See you in the next session. Thank you very much.